So let's see. Maybe we can see it. So in this session now, I want to talk about deploying an L1 and do it on your own infrastructure. You do it by hand. No one else is involved. As I said already in the beginning, when we had the panel, this can also be seen as an addition to the service providers you just saw, right? Like, so an L1 can be run not only by a single entity, but possibly by multiple entities. And I'm super excited today to showcase some stuff that not only myself have been working on, but a large part of the DevRel team over the past few months. And it's a really new way to interact with the Avalanche protocol. And we do this to expose kind of like more basic and atomic operations that are happening on the P chain, but also for educational purposes. Because what we found is that when people don't really see what transactions are being issued and what the role of the P chain is, it is really, really hard to actually understand the full protocol. So yeah, super excited. This is the first time we're showing this. So what I want to show you guys today is the L1 toolbox. And you can see the overview here already, right? Like we have this wallet component in the top that shows you the balance of the C chain, the P chain, and then we have all these operations here on the left-hand side. Some for creating the L1, some for setting up certain contracts. If you follow the talks on this stage here, you will see over the days multiple team members of the DevRel team go through these different parts of the toolbox, and kind of like aligned with the sessions, you will learn a little bit. So, for example, we will have one session for interchain messaging, and in that session, you will also see how to set up interchain messaging for your L1. So. I guess the party is starting outside already, but we will also have a little party in here when we create our first L1. One cool feature about the toolbox is that it can be embedded in the Avalanche Academy. I'm not sure if someone already knows the Avalanche Academy, but it's the place to learn about Avalanche, right? And in the past, we had like a lot of commands you would copy out and paste in your terminal. Now we want to transition to something that is a little bit more visual. So we will issue these P-chain transactions right from the Avalanche Academy, right? So to launch our L1, and this is also, like then it's kind of like co-located with all the educational content, right? Like, so to launch an L1, we need to understand a few concepts, right? Like validators. So if you're working with a blockchain as a service provider, you don't have to worry about any of this. Basically, you're getting an RPC URL at the end of the day. They will take care of all of this. But now you're launching an L1 by hand, right? Like, so you have to see a little bit what's going on under the hood. This is roughly the Avalanche network architecture. You can see the different L1s, the primary network. And you can see now, after the Etna upgrade, we have distinct validator sets. So each of these red dots here is a validator in the Avalanche ecosystem. And all these L1s are connected with native interoperability, right? So what we will be doing is we will add a new circle to this Avalanche network, and we will add it with a single validator. Obviously, you can do the same with 10 validators, 100 validators, whatever you want. But yeah, so for the ones that haven't been around in the Avalanche ecosystem for too long, there's a concept we call the platform chain. And this is really the backbone for our interoperability and the coordination layer of the Avalanche network. And it has a very simple data structure, right? The connecting entity here is a subnet of, we also call it L1, but in the code, it will be primarily called subnet. And there can be one or more chains associated with that subnet, right? Most of the L1s that we see are just a single chain L1. But as I said, there can be multiple. And then the subnet is associated with a validator set. Could be 1, could be 5, could be 100, right? You can see, and it's kind of like this. This is a data structure. So what we will do in a minute is we will create the structure, a subnet and an L1, and then add a validator to it that we run on our own infrastructure. All right. So let's do the first step, creating a blockchain. and we can see some educational content. I will just explain you exactly what happens. The first step here is creating a subnet. So that is just the simple record. There's no data fields associated with it. We will add the chain to it and then the validators after it. So all I do is I click this button here, and then my core wallet opens, and it will prompt me to issue a create subnet transaction. All right, no data fields in it. All right, and now I can see the transaction was successful, so I just created this simple record, right? So now I issue the second p-chain transaction, the create a chain transaction, and it has a few more parameters, right? Like the first one is the subnet ID that I want to associate the chain with, a chain name, and a VM ID. So the subnet ID, the tool already pre-fills with the ID of the subnet that you just created in the previous step. Chain name, we have a random name generator. I will just call this one the Summit demo chain. And the VM ID, we can just use a standard value for an EVM chain because we're not going to use any custom virtual machine here. All right, few parameters, the EVM chain ID. Also randomly generated for us here, since we are just doing a testnet. We don't need to check if it's unique. And then we can go into the configuration of that chain, right? Like, so there are many, many different options for customizing Avalanche L1s. The first one is permissioning. We heard about it in the panel and the different talks already, right? So let's dive into this section. There are basically two that are relevant. The contract deployer allow list, meaning I restrict who can deploy smart contracts on my L1. And the other one is a transaction allow list, meaning I restrict who can interact with my L1. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to have everyone be able to interact with it, but only myself to be able to deploy a contract on it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add this here, and now I have gave myself the permission to deploy contracts and also give others, maybe at a later time, the permission to do the same. Right. So I can go through these different options here, tokenomics, change the initial allocations, like do all kinds of stuff here, decide who has minting rights. So kind of like the full customization options I have with an L1 are available to me here. So for the rest, I will just take the defaults, and the tool in the background generates this Genesis file for me. So this is kind of like how it actually looks under the hood. A JSON file for your EVM chain that has all the configuration. So based on the contract deployer allow this configuration, I just configure it in the UI. That makes it then through to the JSON. So we abstract away the complexities. You don't have to edit the file directly, and help you really easily to create that. So the final step is then issuing this configuration in a p-chain transaction to create the chain. So let me click the button. The core will open again. So you can see the next transaction I'm issuing here is called create blockchain, right? So I'll just do that, and chain created successfully, so it's going pretty well. Let's go back to the architecture. So what have we done so far? First, we created the subnet, and then we configured a chain with some permissioning features here, and now we have that. These records are now on the p-chain. There is no validator for it, so it's impossible to interact with it. There's no RPC. There's nothing there yet, right? Like, it's really just the record of it is on the p-chain. So time to spin up a node, right? This used to be a little bit complex and would require deep knowledge of the Avalanche protocol, but due to the work of the developer relations team, we try to really make it as simple as possible. So what I'll do next is I will spin up I already have spun up a instance on AWS that we will use for this demo. So let me just connect to it real quick. All right. All right, perfect. So we got a simple AWS instance, right? Like Linux instance. I did some preparation that this tool will also take you through. So first it checks, do I want to do this on a server or do I want to do it on my local computer? I always recommend doing it on a server. It's a more production-like setting. Obviously, you don't want to run a blockchain validator on your MacBook that you shut down occasionally or something, right? The next step is we are doing everything Docker-based, right? So we provide like the commands here any way that you can use brew, you can use whatever. Just the important thing is to install Docker. I already did that on this machine, so we can skip this step. But if you just have a new one, follow any of these instructions or anything that will get you Docker, right? The next thing we're going to do is we want to decide what node, what blockchain, what L1 do I want to run this node for, right? It suggests like all frequently created blockchains here, so I can just click on Summit Demo Chain and go further. It queries the subnet ID, everything here, and now I can do some configurations of the node itself. So generally they are, on a very high level, there are a few types of nodes, but two that are really relevant: validator nodes and RPC nodes. Right? RPC nodes are the ones that wallets connect to, that protocols connect to, usually we want to keep these two groups separate, right? Like an RPC node is very, like free with what you can do with it. You can run very expensive queries on it, which is great and necessary, but validators we want to keep a little bit more secluded. So usually you have kind of like a core validator set and then a set of RPC nodes around it. So people don't actually have access to the actual validators and can flood them with requests or anything, right? Like so, making sure the chain has always a core validator set and then scale the RPC group around it, right? On a testnet, that is not too relevant, so we're just going to run the RPC node and the validator in a single node, right? So optionally, right, like there are some things that you want to enable here, for example, debug and trace, and what you can see down here, depending on what you select up here, right, like some of these things change. But basically, all this tool is doing, really, is telling you which ports you need to open. If it's a validator, you don't want to, you only want to open 9651. If it's an RPC node, you want to open additional ports. And then it just creates this Docker command. So this whole, what you're seeing here is completely stateless. It's just really a facilitator to navigate you through all these flags and configuration options for Avalanche Go. All right, so that was easy enough. Let me just grab this command here, go back to my instance. And there's one flag that's really important. It's this track subnets flag in the middle here. So that is telling the node, okay, like which subnet to track. So let me do that real quick. Then we're gonna check out the logs. So it's looking good. The last log is what we really care about, right? Like we see the chain ID that we just created, and then the first log, the last log is here, starting consensus, last accepted. Height 0, meaning we are at block height 0. So that's great. You know, like our node is up and running. We're seeing some stuff here. The P chain is becoming healthy, so that's all great. Successfully set up the node, right? Now we the tool gives us like some commands here to make sure that everything actually really worked. So we're gonna just do a simple RPC call here, check for the chain ID, and that's always a good sign. If this call fails, usually there's something wrong, but our node reports healthy and returns the chain ID, right? So that's great. So there's one thing though. Usually when we connect wallets to it, if you want to deploy contracts or something, these wallets have a strict requirement that you need to connect via HTTPS, right? So Ilya has been, from our DevRel team, has built something super cool that facilitates this process, which is not suitable for mainnets maybe, but you know, like for a testnet, to get like really easily that spun up, you can set up a quick reverse proxy here. Just paste in the ID. We also pre-fill the Docker command for you and everything here. And then, you know, like your RPC URL is available with HTTPS. You can see it here through the service that you just spun up with this Docker command. So let me check if we have. So this is my local host. So now I'm not on the on the actual machine here, on the AWS machine, but on my local host. And let me see. And as you can see, I can do like a curl ETH chain ID from my local host through the service to my AWS hosted validator, and it returns the chain ID. So node is up and running. Everything works super smooth. The demo gods are with me. So let's see if I can get all the way through. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this chain to my wallet, right? Summit demo. Chain ID, everything pre-filled. I think I have to zoom out. All right. Add chain. So adding it to core. All right, looking good. Let's see. So in here, my Summit demo chain. Oh boy, I have 2 now. I hope that's all right. Let's see. All right, let's see. Summit demo. Looks about right. Cool. So we got the chain up and running. Actually, probably that's not the right one because some tokens have been already spent. Let's see what happens. Let's go to convert subnet. So what we're doing now is we're adding the initial validator set to this L1. And there's now a lot happening here with validator manager and everything here. You'll learn what that exactly means, like how you can manage the validator set in later sections. But all we need to do is really, configure the initial validator set. So also here, we're just getting prompted with a little command I can run on my machine. And then I get the response, like the node credentials, the node ID, the BLS keys, and everything here. And I'll just copy it back in here, click Add Validator, and now I have a little UI that lets me define primarily 2 values. One is the consensus weight. How much does this validator will have weight? We can see, because there's no other, this will be 100% of the total stake weight. So with a single validator, this is obviously not recommended for production. And then here I can, define how much initial balance for the p-chain I want to add here. So it will also give me a rough estimate on how long that's going to last. So if I know, I'm just running a simple test for it today, that's probably overpowered. I will just add 0.1 AVAX. Obviously, I will have to pay for that when I convert the L1. All right, let's do it. Click here. Core opens, convert subnet to L1. I can see all the validator information and everything here. Let's click approve. Subnet to L1 conversion successful. Beautiful. So let's see if my node got the good news already. And we can see here this beautiful log here. Node added to validator set. So the node got now officially promoted from someone who's just following this the L1 to being a validator. So we are all set up. We're all good to go. So let's just do a quick check whether I can send a transaction here. I might be connected to the, I think I'm connected to the wrong one. I did the dry run for the demo yesterday and also called it Summit demo. All right, this looks good. So let's do a send transaction. I will just do one to this wallet, approve, and I send a transaction on the L1. So that worked, roughly 10 minutes. Oh, I'm actually over time. So you saw it's really easy to set up. There is a ton more tools to explore here in this to set up a validator manager, to set up staking manager, validator manager operations, interchain messaging, you name it, to deploy a bridge in a minute. I hope you like it. This is the first time we're talking about it. Huge shout out to the DevRel team who's been working on this for months, many evening, nights, and weekends. So amazing job. And we'd love to hear your feedback. So if you now can't wait to spin up your own L1 on your own infra, get your laptop out, try it out, and then try to find us. Let us know what you're doing. We're going to have a hackathon after the summit. So we're going to push this pretty hard there so people can, run an L1 on their own infra, either locally or on an AWS account. And we'd love to hear your feedback. It's a very new way to interact with the Avalanche protocol. So we hope you like it. It's very visual. We hope we can teach people well what's actually going on under the hood. So super excited. Thank you everyone for coming, and enjoy the rest of the summit.